Smash mean to me? That's big. Smash to me is, I see it as a discipline disguised as a game, because you look at it, right? You can play it in a casual setting where it's like you have all the items on, you have all the stages, but then you see like the deeper end, there's a neutral, there's a punish game, there's ledge trapping, there's edge guarding, and you see this stuff and you're like, wow, this is way deeper than just some video game that people play on their free time. My name is Daniel Juat. I go by Pizza Boi, and I main Zero Suit Samus in Smash Ultimate. So the very first Smash game I played was Brawl. I was 10. I was sleeping over at a friend's place, and they were just like, you should try playing Smash. And me being a big fan of Nintendo, I, for some reason, didn't really think much of Smash, but they introduced me to it, and then when I started, I already fell in love with the game the second I started. And it was weird too, because it's like I didn't even understand how to play it. I would just spam moves. I didn't understand any competitive aspect. We would just play items on. We would just beat each other up with Nintendo characters. And I just loved it. But in terms of Brawl, I didn't really have a main. I kind of just played around between Luigi and Sonic. It was clear I didn't know how to play the game competitively. With Smash 4, I mained Luigi because he was a really goofy character, and I just feel like it kind of just fit me because I'm also a goofy person. So when Ultimate came out, I tried to be a Luigi main, but I just did not like his playstyle at all. It was kind of bad. I kind of just went the Elite Smash route and just played a bunch of characters. And I remember that Zero Suit was actually one of the harder characters for me to get into Elite Smash. And so I spent a week or something trying to get her into Elite Smash. And it was sad because I had all these other characters that I got into Elite Smash so easily, but with this character, I had to really learn how she played. I had to learn her combos, her moveset, and then as I started to really understand how she played, it for some reason just fit me really well. And then I continued to try and get better with it. In terms of finding the club, I kind of just wanted to see how I would do in terms of competing. So I actually just looked it up to see if there was a Smash club at Fullerton. And so when I got accepted to Fullerton as a transfer student the semester before, I was like, okay, I might as well just see, check it out. And within the first meeting, it was just a general meeting where you introduce the board members at the time, and just we got to play friendlies. Just within that, I already had a good time. And I was like, I might as well just keep coming back. I remember my very first opponent was actually a DQ because the guy showed up late, and I was like, oh, thank God, I can skip a set. Because I was a very nervous player when I started. And then my real first opponent was Salmon Jammin', and he actually 2-0'd me, but it was a pretty close set. I mean, I don't like to discredit people when I tell them oh, they beat me because I was nervous. It's nah, I still lost. But it was a very close 2-0 in his favor, despite the fact that I was nervous. And so, I still wasn't sure what kind of player I was, but then as he sent me to losers, my next opponent was Robbie, and I still beat him 2-0, but it was closer than it should have been. And then I beat Wei, the president at the time, and I also 2-0'd him, but that was also close. And then I had to fight the Roy player Vape at the time, and it was a 2-1 in his favor, and he popped off on me, and I was like, man, we're fighting for 9th, bro. What are you doing popping off this early? And I didn't realize, that guy ended up getting second at the tournament, and I was like, wow, I almost beat the guy that got second. Pretty much my first run after that, getting eliminated, getting 9th, I hung out with, a bunch of other people who also didn't get top 8, and, we went downstairs from that room, got some Panda Express, and just chilled, had a good time. And after that first tournament, even though I didn't do well, it inspired me to want to keep going. Pretty much half the people that did well at the tournaments gave me a hard time. I know I lost a set to Brian, I lost a set to Sam, I lost a set to Francisco, lost a set to Chris. It was I would go back and forth with a lot of the players that also did well in bracket. I mean, there were a good amount of players that I didn't lose to that semester, but it was clear I wasn't seen as this top of the line best player in the club. I was just one of the better players near the end of it. you know, after fall, like I really wanted to show up to as many events as I could. It was a really, I remember it being like a pretty strong season for me. Definitely better than fall semester. Even though the competition has only gotten harder, I've only gotten better as well. In addition to that, it's like, even though I wasn't winning tournaments, like I was giving former winners of tournaments a run for their money. I was really giving them a hard time, to the point where most players weren't even beating me anymore in spring semester. The ones who did beat me in fall, like I pretty much got the run back on all of them. If I didn't have a perfect record on them, I had a positive record, and I only had negative records to like most people that were above me in terms of the rankings.
Let's go! Dude, finally! Finally! Oh! Let's freaking go! Alright, I'm done. I'm done.
I always have a lot of respect for the players who are at the club. And so, you know, when I pop off in general, it's actually a sign of like, I respect this player so much. Like, I think they're better than me, but I can beat them. And I did. And so with the pop off against Brian, it was actually a double win because it was my first time beating him and it was my first time ever making it to grand finals. And so that's why it was such a big one, because it's like, wow, I actually did it. Like, I finally made it this far. Like, I've really proved myself as a player being able to beat Brian, but being able to beat Darren, or at least having a second chance, because this was like, I didn't get to beat him at this tournament, it shows where I really am. You know, because again, fall semester, I wasn't really sure where I was in terms of skill, but this semester was like, wow, you mean to tell me I'm going game 5 against the best player in the club? I just beat the former best player in the club? Like, this is legit.
Very good stuff.
I am Darren Chiou, known in the Smash Club as Proximity, and I main Roy. When I first entered, I wasn't actually able to get in any tournaments because I had a class that went over the schedule of the tournament, so I was not able to attend for a full semester. But in the back, we were playing in like a collegiate crew battle plan, and I felt like that was a good way to get me started in terms of figuring out who's really up there in terms of skill, who's the regulars that just come in, and then who are the people that are less experienced with the game. My first tournament was really rough because I had to play against Akazuya for the first time, who's in the Smash Ultimate scene is known as a very polarizing character, kind of kill you off one hit. Not very fun to play against, but I studied a lot against at the time, the #1 player, whose name was Brian or Mui. He's a very, very good Kazuya player who always goes to really close games with me, but I think with all the practice that I put in before that tournament, I went in with a lot of confidence and just played my game, and I came out on top. Yeah, I think the first time I ever met Pizza Boi or Daniel was in the collegiate crew battle scene. He just stayed around to play some friendlies with the team at some points during meetings, and he definitely wanted to play some friendlies with me, knowing that there was a really good player that wasn't able to enter the tournaments at the time. Through our first couple of friendlies, I knew he was a good player who understood like a lot of fundamentals in the game. Like there were certain things that you can't really teach that you see because of experience. It was clear that he's been playing competitive for a while and really studying how to refine his game. But no, at first he was not really. It's not somebody I considered a threat too much, because he would either lose to people that weren't as good, or he would just play slow because he was getting gate kept from the top by the really good players. It started before he even really started taking tournaments off me. I think it was the second or third tournament of spring where he took me to game 5. He sent me to losers actually, beating me in winners, but then wasn't able to close it out. was a different approach than I had to take for other tournaments. When you're on winner's side, you mostly get to just relax as you watch your opponents like play their sets. Getting sent to losers was definitely a wake-up call during a semester that I was very motivated to get number one. I knew I had to watch a few videos during my downtime. I remember popping on some Mars versus Cola videos during that tournament to see what I could pull out in grand finals. And I'd say it helped a lot, especially my run during that losers. It was pretty dominant heading into Daniel. I was sure I had a lot of momentum, and after watching some videos and getting some tips, I was really confident into being able to beat him.
Usually the first game is kind of, it's kind of like a feely type sort of game. Like it doesn't really determine who wins. But I do remember winning the first game, and then the second game just like barely. It was like very like last stock, and I was like the one that was down. I barely clutched that game.
And it was scary. He went out 2-0 very early, and I was one game away from elimination. I took a lot of inspiration from people that I used to look up to, like MK Leo, who's come back from pretty impossible deficits himself. Thinking back to EVO 2019 against Tweak, being able to come down from 2-0 down. So I think that fueled my inspiration to just take it one step by one step, just each stock try to find where I can get an advantage on him, how I can keep it until the end, focus on next game,
It just felt like he kind of had me on lock, like just from there. It was like it felt like after that, like I didn't have an answer for him anymore. I think like the longer the set went, the more nervous I would get, because I'm like, wow, dude, he was down 2 games and like he's still somehow bringing it back. He's only gotten better after every game, despite the fact that he's the one that should be nervous and not me.
Yeah. I had it too. That's alright.
It's funny because I feel like he sometimes is like my opposite, because he's a very calm and collected player, while I'm a very like sporadic and nervous player. So I think it's like nice that you see like 2 different players playing the same game. I think in terms of that set, I feel like I played extremely well, but game 5, like I had a massive lead, and I feel like I did at that time let the nerves get the best of me, because I had a massive lead. Like I was only like 1 or 2 good hits away from winning that game and potentially winning the tournament. But I could tell like there was still some growth that needed to happen after I lost that set.
I know he's been grinding to overcome the Roy matchup, but there were times when I would just be in winter side grand finals and he would get knocked out by really tough people like Safu, like Brian, those people. But some of the low seeded losses definitely hurt his chances to make his mark during that semester.
I don't really get salty when I lose, I just get more nervous, and I feel like as he kept winning, it kind of just made me more and more nervous, to the point where it was like, I start the game nervously, and like you never want to start a set like that, because then like you're already losing. Like you've already lost the set before it's even started.
He had a period where it was just, I feel like every time we sat down to play each other, I could kind of figure out that he either wasn't confident in himself to win, or he was scared that he was unprepared or something like that. It takes a long time to build the confidence to be able to just play in grand finals over and over, especially if you have a couple close games before. You don't want to come in unprepared and shaken up and just let things spiral out of control. But I think that's something that he had to learn the hard way. I do have to admit, I felt sorry to a point where just like, wow, I can't believe it's just like in this fashion that he could lose some sets this way, especially like the 2-0-1.
It gets to the point where like you genuinely feel like you don't have an answer on like anything he's gonna do. So my overall goal before I graduated was to win a tournament. That was my goal. It didn't matter if I had to switch off characters, if I had to time out an opponent, which I actually haven't done in a while, but if I had to do it, I would do it. If I had to specifically choose a stage just to make sure my opponent doesn't win, I would do that. Like, what I cared about the most was winning a tournament. When I beat him in winter semis, it was I remember it being a 3-0 against his Roy, and I felt pretty confident after that. I'm like, wait, I could win this if I'm 3-0ing, because I've actually never once 3-0'd Darren, and I was like, wait, I really think I'm playing extremely well today. Like, I can't let this one go. How it was he won the first game, and I was like, okay, it happens. Just lock back in. It's fine. Like sometimes you just lose games. The season before in fall, where I still didn't win a tournament, but I would consistently get like seconds and thirds. I realized like something needs to change, because it's like whatever I'm doing is working, but just barely not enough. What I would do is I would try to improve. The biggest things were definitely a mix of tech chasing and edge guarding. But I tried to improve every aspect of my gameplay a little bit. So I tried to improve edge guarding, I tried to improve neutral, my punish game, using up B instead of forward smash. And I realized that if I improved every aspect of my gameplay, even just a little bit, that alone will improve everything. And that's what I did. But the most important thing I improved was my mindset. And I think I have definitely 100% gotten in my head with a lot of sets, a lot of tournaments. The nerves just got the better of me, and it's made me choke a lot of situations. It's made it where like I had an easy kill and I just didn't get it, or like I would miss input. Like it's cost me a lot of sets in the past, and I think that was the biggest change I knew I needed to make if I really wanted to win a tournament. And when he went Joker, kind of my mindset was like, oh, he's going Joker? Because I personally see it as like, his Joker is good, but like I don't see it as nearly the same level as his Roy is. And I feel like that kind of told me like, he doesn't have an answer for me, does he? Like, I've never put him in a situation where like he doesn't have an answer, because usually if I do take a set, he'll just take grand finals and then kind of just, he doesn't care anymore. He's gonna win. Like, it's pretty obvious. So his Joker is good, but it's not at the same level as Roy. If you can beat his Roy 2 games in a row, you can beat his Joker. I think the game plan completely connected. Like, I feel like it was like fall semester, all the puzzle pieces were on the table, but they were just like placed properly, right? But they weren't connected. And I feel like spring is when like all the puzzle pieces just got pushed together, and it finally gave me my first tournament win.
Let's go! No way! I did it! I said I won, and I did it! Grayson was right! Grayson was right! Let's go! Go!
Let's go! Yeah!
Felt amazing, to say the least. Kind of like that mental block, it's gone like after that tournament, because I feel like the big thing that kind of got to me was like, dude, I really want to win this tournament, and then I end up thinking too much on wanting to win that I don't think about how to win.
Yeah, I remember it clear as day because of his now famous pop-off he did right in front of me. I think it was pretty funny watching that. Now I can look on it with fond memories, but at the time, I mean, I was pretty lost. I never saw him as like a threat to win tournaments consistently until then. I know he's been prepping a lot for me. Now seeing his work pay off against me in a way that was just like very momentum stopping, I think. That week was very confusing. It was I was just like not able to figure him out for the first time, and it was weird switching places, I guess. Weird being on the back foot now.
That tournament was huge because it's like, not only did I want to win, I actually learned how to win, what to do in these situations, how to kill earlier, how to actually edge guard, how to not spam moves in order to ledge trap. Like, it felt amazing to feel like this was some of the best gameplay I've had in most of my Smash career.
Seeing yourself on that graphic being number one now. On the pizza graphic as
well. Oh yeah, the pizza graphic of all graphics too. Fantastic. Like, it felt like, you know, after the first tournament win, I kind of just played my game. You know, even when there were, because I used to think like, oh, I can't win a tournament unless I like grind and like play the game for the week. But I've won tournaments without even doing that semester. And I was like, wow, like I actually am at a different level of gameplay now, where it's like, even if I'm not playing my best, I could still win a tournament, or I could still get pretty far, or I could still give other PR players a really hard time.